Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to explain to you everything you need to know about hiking to the top of Lion's Head to get one of the best views of all of Cape Town. I'll also be highlighting a cool and lesser known viewpoint on the hike for Lion's Head, so make sure you stick around for that later in the video. And if you're new here, my name's Amy. I'm a digital nomad and full-time traveler who started my digital nomad journey in Cape Town at the end of 2021. Let's get into it. Cape Town has so many beautiful hikes, but you have to be aware of some safety concerns before you get started. Always make sure to hike in a group. It's a lot more fun and it's a lot safer. Even though Lion's Head is a fairly trafficked hike, it's always good to have someone else with you just in case something happens. Always be aware of your surroundings. You're going to want to start early or start late. It can be really hot in the middle of the day, so try to avoid that time. You should definitely try to plan to go at sunrise or sunset. And always check the weather because you don't want to go on a rainy or windy day. Wind can make the hike quite dangerous if it's strong, and on a windy or rainy day there might be a lot of fog, which will hamper your view from the top. So if you're wondering how hard this hike is, it's relatively short but moderately steep for most of it. It's a 4.3 kilometer out and back trail, so it's not very long. However, it would take you around 2 hours, especially if you're going to stop at the top for the view. I think I usually spend more like 3 hours every time I do this hike because I like to chill at the top. It's honestly not too hard of a hike, especially if you're in decent shape. And if you're in Cape Town for a little while, you're bound to be doing more hikes and your hiking abilities will just get better and better. Lion's Head is a good hike to start with if you're just getting to Cape Town because it's a lot easier than other ones like Table Mountain and shorter as well. So you're not going to need to bring that much with you, but here are a few key things to keep in mind. Always wear comfortable clothes. I typically wear a workout set and bring a sweater with me in case it's windy or cold at the top. If you have hiking shoes, bring them with you. However, if you don't, any closed-toe shoe will work. I would normally just wear any running shoe that I had with me and I never had an issue. Don't forget your camera or your phone. A phone will be just fine, but I love bringing my own camera because I find the quality of the photos to be much better. You'll also need a backpack to carry your water, snacks, and camera and anything else with you. Don't forget sun protection as well, so I'm talking sunscreen, a hat, and sunglasses. If you are bringing a hat, bring one that ties up or make sure you hold onto it at the top because I've known people who have lost their hat because of the wind. I also love to bring a speaker with me when I'm hiking. I bring a tiny little one that I pack in my backpack and I only use it at the top of the hike if I'm with a group of friends. And lastly, you need to have a flashlight of some sort. Your phone flashlight will work, just make sure your phone is charged up. But if you're hiking for sunrise or sunset, you're bound to be hiking a little bit in the dark and you want to make sure you can see where you're going because there are parts of the hike with ladders and that are quite steep. Alright, so the secret spot that I referenced at the start of the video is called Wally's Cave. A little disclaimer, if you choose to do this hike, just know that the trail has been blocked off and closed due to erosion and danger to hikers, so hike at your own risk. The start of this trail is about halfway through Lion's Head before you get to the ladders. You'll see a trail that looks like this, and you'll pass a broken bench. Loop around the upper trail and make sure you're being careful because it could be quite slippery and rocky. Plus, the trail becomes a lot harder to follow. You should see Table Mountain, the water, and a rocky corner area. When I did this hike with friends, we somehow ended up above the cave and had to scale our way down to get into the cave, which I wouldn't recommend doing. When I looked up the research online and tried to figure out how to do this beforehand, everywhere said that there was a path that led below the cave and you could just crawl up quite easily into the cave. So try to find the path that goes below the cave for safety purposes. The view from this cave is absolutely incredible and unlike anything I've seen before. You have a view of Kloof Corner, Table Mountain, and the 12 Apostles, and part of the ocean as well. You won't typically see the sunset from there, but you get a golden glow of the entire place, which is beautiful. When it comes to getting to the hike and transportation, the only way you can get directly to the start of the trailhead is by Uber or Bolt. You can get there by car, but I wouldn't recommend doing so as I've seen 10 different cars smashed in one go that were parked nearby by thieves trying to break in and get something valuable. Uber and Bolt is definitely the most cost-effective way of getting there, The one thing you need to be aware of though is if you're starting the hike for sunrise and you're trying to get one at 4 a.m., it can be a bit tricky. I would start looking for one about half an hour before you actually want to get there, just because it can be a little tricky and you might be waiting a while. The same goes for when you are finishing the hike. It could be a little bit sketchy if you end the hike in the dark and you're just waiting at the bottom of Lion's Head trying to find an Uber or a Bolt. I always try to find one about 10-15 minutes before I get to the end of the trail when I regain service, because that way I won't be waiting around and something bad could happen if you're just standing waiting there. Worst case, you can end up hitchhiking, which I've actually done a few times. I wouldn't recommend this as your number one way of getting around, but when I did so, I made sure to look for families and people that look trustworthy in a group. This happens a lot because Ubers and Bolts don't want to drive all the way up Signal Hill to pick people up. Lion's Head is a little further down the mountain, so it's a little easier to get rides. However, I've had to catch a ride around Signal Hill and Lion's Head before, and usually it's other tourists or people traveling from other parts of South Africa, so it's not too bad. You can just simply ask them to drive you a little bit down the hill to the main road where you can get transportation easier. In both circumstances that I got rides from other people, they dropped me off near my hostel. So this was a quick one, but thanks so much for watching and learning about Lion's Head. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Also, feel free to check out my other videos on Cape Town right here, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another video. Bye!